mate. Oh, mate. Oh. Oh. Here you go, mate.
Ta, mate.
What are you doing?
Going to the club.
Well, can I borrow some money?
You never paid back the last lot.
Are you alright? Can I help you up?
Oh, hi. I'm Carice from Care for Life. Is Tom home?
No, he's out.
Oh, sorry, do you know when he'll be back?
Might be out all day.
Okay. Look, could you give him my business card, please, and tell him to give me a call? It's really important. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Case management is really very complex, and it's more than putting in services and arranging services for someone. It's about monitoring those services, it's dealing with the client and any of the issues in their everyday life. Anything at all might come up. It's dealing with their families, dealing with their friends, and what they want to achieve in their life.
Case management is an internationally recognised model with accepted guiding principles that support the goal of a client's self-autonomy. It's a process that looks at an individual's need for care and services with careful consideration of their specific situation, including their health requirements and any special needs, their available resources, their expectations and motivations, and their values and choices.
Case management in the community aged care setting is very focused around enabling that person to stay at home for as long as they want to stay at home, as long as they can be managed to be kept at home, living the way they want to.
Care coordination plays a role in case management, but it's not the same as case management.
Case managers and care coordinators are quite different roles. The case manager is the key point of contact. They're the central point of contact for all services, family, client, care providers, anyone about the client. The care coordinator is the person who organises the services requested by the case manager. They are not the key contact. They will be contacting the case manager if there's any concerns.
There are 4 standards of practice for case management in Australia. The first is case identification and assessment. This includes screening the client, assessing their care needs, and stratifying risk. Standard 2 is planning, including the implementation and coordination of the care. Standard 3 is monitoring, following the progress of the client towards their goals. It includes transitioning the client to other services or programs, or the client may disengage from the program if services are no longer required. At this time, feedback may be received about the services. And Standard 4 is evaluation of the progress against the agreed goals within the care plan.
As the case manager moves through each phase of the case management process with the client, they need to keep the client as a central focus. They need to be cognizant of the client's aspirations, their motivation for being involved in the program, what they want to achieve, how they're going to achieve it, and how they're going to help them achieve it. A case manager needs to be aware of clients with special needs. Now, those special needs could be something around a disability, but it could also be around the special needs categories that the government has defined, which are returned servicemen, veterans. It's the people that live in rural and remote areas, homeless people, care leavers who have left orphanages and that in the past, or being foster cared for in the past as children. It could be people with dementia, and it could be people from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds.
Other groups that case managers need to consider are those at high risk, including clients who have a lack of family support or those that have emotional or mental health issues.
Case management helps clients navigate the complex healthcare system because good case managers know and understand the system. They've usually worked in the system.
thank you.
They've got very strong networks. They know the people to contact. They can get information that the general public cannot access, or they understand it and interpret it for the client and the family in ways that they will understand, and then they can make informed choices about.
Ah, Tom, I'm Carice from Care for Life. I've been trying to get in touch with you to let you know you're entitled to a home care package.
What, I didn't apply for anything. I don't need any help.
Now, remember last time when you were in hospital after you had your fall, a team of people came by, asked you a bunch of questions? Actually, could I come in and talk to you about that,
I'm
Tom?
on me way out. I've got to be there.
Well, look,
by-
I don't want to hold you up. I can come back at another time. How about Wednesday?
Better be early. I always got to be there by now. I got to go.
One of the key features of case management, one of the key skills and qualities a case manager needs is to be non-judgmental, totally non-judgmental. Non-judgmental of the client and their situation, non-judgmental of the family and their decisions, non-judgmental of other service providers.
Ah, hi, Tom. How are you?
Forgot you was coming.
Can I come in? The package that you're entitled to means that there are some services, and if you need it, I can help you with some food.
No, tried that before. It didn't work. The food was rotten.
Okay. Is there anything that I could help you with?
I don't know if you can help me, but I need help for me legs. They're giving me grief.
Okay. We can help you with that. Now, I just need you to sign this agreement first. Now take a look. Do you want me to talk you through it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tom's probably fairly reticent about signing the agreement. He's fairly untrusting of people. He's had a lot to deal with in his life. And somehow Carice needs to encourage Tom to understand that her role is not there to take over his life. It's to help him have more control over his life and help him achieve what he wants to achieve. The strategies a case manager might use to try and encourage someone to sign an agreement, which they don't have to sign if they don't want to sign. The types of things they might try are to let them understand that it's an agreement, it's not a contract. It's purely an agreement that they can at any time say they don't want to be involved anymore.
All right, just 5 more minutes and then I'll be out of your hair.
What they're actually signing is that they're working with the case manager to develop a care plan to help keep them at home for as long as possible.
Ease it in, see how we go. Is that okay?
We can accept people onto case management programs without them signing, and that does happen in various circumstances. At times, people with dementia are beyond being able to sign. Their family members can sign, or they don't even need to sign at all. But the case manager has to take the responsibility for that and document that the client is unable to sign.
Whether or not the client signs the home care agreement, the organisation still has to provide the services.
Tom, one of the services available to you is our advocacy service.
The case manager needs to inform the client of their right to have an advocate. They also need to determine if clients are able to advocate for themselves. If they can't, the case manager should help the client seek legal guidance before signing the agreement. Clients may choose the case manager to advocate for them, or they may appoint their own advocate.
So that's really important.
There are 5 principles that guide case management practice. Each of these 5 principles needs to be applied to each of the 4 Australian standards to ensure the best possible client outcomes. Case management must facilitate the personal development of the client. It must advocate for the client. It must be purposeful. It must promote sustainable solutions, and effective communication must underpin case management. Each of the 4 case management standards is a phase of the case management process. Standard 1 is case identification and assessment.
Carissa's applied Standard 1 to Tom's scenario. She's identified the client, she's identified Tom as a complex case, and she started assessing his needs and developing a relationship with him. He's also helped in that assessment of his needs, as well as gathering information from many other people to help her and determine what care he might need.
Case managers should collect and assess information from a range of service partners such as GPs, specialists and other health professionals, and community service providers.
The client interview process has to be very natural. It also often needs to involve the family and potentially friends or other people, significant others.
Informed consent is required for the sharing of client information with other service providers. A list of these must be provided to the client. Case managers are required to take clients through the complaints and appeals process so they understand their rights.
Do you mind if I take a look around?
I'll stay out of Jason's room.
Carissa's working very closely with Tom to determine his long-term and short-term goals. For Tom, he wants his beer cold and he needs some power on. Once that's sorted, they can then start looking at some other issues and other things, and Tom will realise that she's actually there to help. She's not there to take over his life.
Risk assessment is a critical part of the process in order to provide a safe environment for both clients and care workers. Targeted interventions to reduce risk will enhance client outcomes.
If a client's needs fall outside the case manager's usual scope, case manager needs to obtain that expertise externally. That is where networks become very valuable. Their knowledge of the existing services and expertise in their region or further afield is absolutely essential.
The case identification and assessment phase identifies if case management is required, and if it is, this phase aids in the prioritisation of when and how services should be provided. Case managers need to document their assessment process, showing that they've accessed every avenue to meet the client's individual needs. From the moment a person is admitted to the program, the case manager should be considering the client's exit strategy.
All clients will leave the program at some point. They'll leave the need for case management, whether they go into residential care, whether they move to another provider, whether they decide that they no longer need case management, or whether they pass away. At some point, clients will need to have an exit strategy.
Ah, Sam, just the person I wanted to speak to. I've got a new client and I'd really like your perspective.
Sure. From the look of his carer profile, we may need to consider Tony.
Standard 2 in the case management process is planning and implementation. This phase involves a lot of what we think of as care coordination. The process of planning must be in a format that is meaningful to clients. Plans must be action-oriented, multidisciplinary, strengths-based and time-specific in nature. They should identify outcomes that are measurable and achievable within a manageable timeframe and use evidence-based standards and guidelines.
As a case manager in the planning and implementation stage, the case manager uses all the information obtained in the assessments, all the information from the client and other providers that are involved in the client's care. They then develop a care plan with the client and try and evolve something that meets the client's needs, that the client's willing to work with.
Yeah, well, we can look at implementing that down the track as long as it's within the budget.
These are the people that I've worked with before. I think
Carissa and Sam are working together very closely to implement the plan that's been agreed with Tom. They're collaborating together to try and have the best outcomes possible for Tom. The case management process is designed to support the client to maintain or grow their independence as much as possible. It's important to note the level of control the client's chosen in the care plan because the case manager is there to support the client.
So we know that within your budget, you've got your range of home care services.
Most programs have a budget component that the case manager is responsible for. So the case manager is responsible for ensuring that that care plan does not go over budget and that all care is maintained within that budget. Clients are very welcome to purchase extra services, or if a client really needs a service and they cannot afford it, at times programs can pay for it. At other times case managers have to access other funding.
Well, if it's my money, why can't I have cash to give to Jason for when he does garbage and does the cleaning and that?
Because we have to work within the guidelines. Look, we can see if Jason's an appropriate person. We can do that, but in any case, we'll work with a solution to help you. And we can get your garbage taken out and your cleaning done.
Clients are meant to have an element of choice and control over the services that they receive. All agencies have preferred service providers and they have contracts with different agencies. If the client wants a particular agency, they need to see if the provider will be able to get a contract with that agency. With the move towards client-directed care, clients will be receiving monthly statements outlining their budget and how much they've got left to spend and how much they've already spent. They need to understand this and the case manager needs to work with them to educate them.
Each organisation has its own policies and procedures in relation to client contributions and fees. Case managers simply follow their organisation's guidelines. An organisation might reasonably decline a request for a service from a client if it poses a threat to staff or to the client, or it doesn't comply with relevant legislation.
If a client wants a service that is not permitted under the package, the case manager needs to be very frank and explain that to the client and not provide them with unreal expectations. Clients need to understand the evaluation timelines. They need to understand that the case manager has got obligations to the department and obligations under the standards of practice for case managers and also under the Common Community Care Standards.
Morning.
Hi, Tony.
Morning.
Come on in. We're nearly ready, guys. Just putting away some shopping.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Hey Tom, how's it going?
Ah, g'day. Oh, who's this?
This is Sam. She's one of our care coordinators.
Good to meet you, Tom. How have you been doing lately?
What's going on?
Remember the form we filled out on our first visit?
Yeah, I filled it out, you signed it, you took it away with you, remember?
Yeah. We just need to do another one today. Okay, and I've got that one here, but remember we talked about we need to fill it out every 3 months.
Yeah, a man can't be expected to remember everything.
Well, because I can't be here all the time, this form helps us measure how we're doing, helping you to achieve your goals.
Right, yeah, that's good, yeah, it's good.
Now, how about we just run through a few questions? It'll only take 5 minutes, and then I'll be out of your hair.
Well, you better be quick, because I got somewhere important to be.
We'll be as quick as we can, I promise. Now, one of the goals was to get some cold beer in your fridge.
Gathering quality of life information at regular care plan reviews enables evaluation of the effectiveness of health, community and aged care services, and it improves future planning for our ageing population.
There's a range of benchmarking tools out there and assessment tools. The benefit of most of them is that they've been thoroughly researched and validated and they're very robust. And they'll score and you can go back and reassess a client against that score. So they'll give you some sort of measure about how that client's progressing. Alternatively, there are other tools out there that organisations have developed themselves and they're also very good tools and organisations often share them amongst each other.
All done. Okay, thanks for that, Tom. Now, just before you go, I just want to run through what's going to happen with your upcoming surgery.
Oh, I don't really need it anymore. We can postpone it, can't we?
Tom, it's going to make such a difference for you. And if you're not falling over all the time, then you're not going to be in this pain.
Case management has the potential to significantly decrease the number of admissions to hospital. The way this works is that case managers can monitor GP appointments, ensure that clients go to their appointments, have access to their appointments, have access to their medications, that they receive their medications, that they're reviewed, and that they understand what is being said to them.
Tom, we know you don't like doctors, and I'm sure you've had a few trying to get you to give up the beer. But nobody expects you to go cold turkey in hospital. We can organise someone from the hospital to have a chat with you if you like.
Yeah, well, they better not hassle me, because if they do, I'll buzz right off, and you know I will.
I promise they'll take care of you. I'll organise a counsellor today for an early morning chat. Is that okay with you?
Carice is doing very well. She's working in partnership with Tom, and Tom trusts her. She's also working with the hospital in his pre-admission and also in linking him with counsellors if necessary.
Standard 3 in the case management process includes monitoring, transition and disengagement, and feedback.
Monitoring is essential for the case management process. It helps the case manager ensure that the client is progressing well. It helps them monitor their independence, their changing needs, and the types of services that they may or may not be receiving.
Adjustments to care plans are made in collaboration with the client and key stakeholders. Case managers are responsible for ensuring that their organisation is responding to the changing needs of its client population, and this includes transitioning when the time is right.
Transitioning of clients involves moving the client from the case management program to another program. It could mean transitioning someone into residential care so that the client is supported and assisted to find a place in residential care and to complete the paperwork and understand the system that they're moving into.
As part of the transition or disengagement process, it's important to get feedback from the client and other stakeholders, such as family members or their advocate. The only way a case manager can provide a good service to both current and future clients is measuring and evaluating what was done well and what could have been improved.
Each program and each organisation has their own guidelines and policies around the reviews of clients and the recording of clients, and all case managers need to abide by these because these will meet the legislative requirements.
As well as monitoring the client and their well-being, it's important that case managers monitor changes in the social care framework.
They need to know the programs that are available. They need to know the criteria for accessing the programs and the eligibility and the costs of programs. They need to remain current with the different programs as they commence and as some close.
Case managers must also monitor changes in the legislation, as they need to comply with legislative requirements for notification such as critical incidents reporting and guardianship matters. As well as maintaining professional relationships, case managers need to monitor their clients' informal support networks, like family and friends, to keep abreast of any changes in client well-being and to enable planning of appropriate services and adjustments.
The outcomes for Tom due to case management should be fairly positive. Hopefully he would have more self-esteem, he would have belief in himself and feeling a lot more comfortable. He would have had his beer and he would have had his power on and his house would have been kept tidy and he would have had his medical needs met. The long-term exit strategy for Tom would have been discussed with him at the commencement of his case management process, and that would be leaving the case management support from Carice and transitioning into somewhere else, which for Tom would most likely be residential care, and he would be supported through that by Carice.
Evaluation is critical to the success of case management and to the success of each case manager.
The evaluation process in case management involves assessing whether the client's care plan and goals have been achieved, and without evaluation you can't determine whether the case management process is working and whether the client's actually making progress or whether the goals are still relevant anymore.
Meeting agreed goals is a process of continual refinement. Case managers assess client satisfaction, the costs versus benefits, and also the quality and effectiveness of the services provided, including the case manager's own performance.
Case managers have quite a lot of freedom to satisfy their clients' needs. They do have to adhere to the guidelines and the common care standards, but they have a lot of flexibility to be innovative and creative within that. Case managers don't just assess client outcomes, they also self-reflect on their own processes, their own outcomes, and their case management practice, as well as the organisation's outcomes and practices. And they also advocate for organisational change and continuous improvement.
I think I might make a list of banks in our database that are willing to help our clients learn to use an ATM. What do you think?
Actually, that's a great idea. Limited technology skills do make it difficult for some of our clients to access their money.
I'll see what the case managers are finding.
Evaluation is a critical part of an organisation's continuous improvement. It's a case manager's responsibility to help develop organisational policies and procedures that reflect current research as part of their professional development. Case managers must demonstrate that they're sharing their research. Case managers fulfil a role that requires them to meet the needs of clients, employers and funding bodies, with the client remaining at the centre of focus. Effective case management can act as a shield from the complexities of systems. It can inform the consumer of their options amongst multiple and complex packages available. It can reduce hospital visits, admissions to hospital and delays in discharge by ensuring that needs are assessed and met before a situation gets worse. The Case Management Society has developed 5 principles to guide the practice of case management. Facilitate the personal development of clients. Advocate for the client. Ensure purposefulness. Promote sustainable solutions. And effective communication. It's essential that case managers adopt these 5 principles when working through each of the 4 standards of case management.
I think one of the best things about being a case manager is the relationships that you develop with the clients, and often they're long term, but seeing them achieve and seeing them able to stay home when they're really fearful of going into residential care, seeing them able to achieve and maintain their independence is very, very rewarding.